waking up to the reality of who you truly are, can be very challenging, leading to a lot of confusion and uncomfortability. I can tell you from my own personal experience that awakening spiritually requires an inner readiness. A lot of questions may pop up in your head, asking, why is this happening? Why me? Or what's the point of this whole thing? Well, don't worry, we will be discovering the reasons why majority of individuals go through a spiritual awakening process and the purpose behind it. Embarking on a spiritual journey is often considered the most challenging endeavor because it requires a profound shift in consciousness and a willingness to confront the deepest aspects of oneself. The path of self-discovery involves questioning ingrained beliefs, facing unresolved emotions, and navigating the unknown realms of consciousness. It demands a courageous exploration of personal vulnerabilities, shedding layers of egoic identity, and embracing the discomfort of uncertainty. The challenges lie not only in the external practices, such as meditation or contemplation, but also in the internal transformation that demands resilience, patience, and a commitment to continual growth. The journey is a relentless quest for authenticity, truth, and a connection to a higher, universal wisdom that transcends the familiar comforts of the egoic mind. If you are not ready for it, it will not happen. I can tell you that from my own personal experience. You have to be willing to embark on this spiritual journey with an open heart and inner readiness. Some people are being forced to find their true selves through pain and suffering, and this happens through a process called a forced spiritual awakening. This is when you undergo the process of an ego death experience, a very painful and traumatic experience one could not wish for. Why do people go through this? Simple. It's like shaking off old ideas and finding a truer version of themselves. You know those times when you ask, what's the point of all this? That's the beginning of it, wanting to know the real deal, the bigger picture. Some start this journey because life throws a curveball, maybe a tough time, a big change, or just a feeling that something's missing. Others are simply curious about what's beyond the everyday routine. It's not about getting all mystical or fancy words. It's just about digging a bit deeper, questioning stuff, and maybe finding a peace that goes beyond what's on the surface. So, if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, more to you, welcome to the club. Exploring your own awakening might just be the adventure you've been waiting for. Are you ready to find out the reasons why you may be going a profound shift in consciousness? Okay, let's dive in. The first reason why you may find yourself on a spiritual journey is because of freedom and liberation. This awakening process is happening because it wants to free and liberate you from the enslavement of your mind. The real reason why most people cannot be free is because they are still identified with the conditioned egoic mind which controls and runs their lives without their conscious awareness. Some individuals are searching for freedom on the outside, and this could be in the form of psychological pleasures, physical pleasures, or anything that would take away the pain, lack, and suffering. Those things are short-lived pleasures, and they will only free you for a short period of time, and you will be back into the same cycle of pain and suffering. The freedom that people are searching for is always within them right here and now, and it is not attached to any past or future. True freedom is inseparable from who you are, meaning you are the freedom itself. The hindrance towards living a fulfilling life and experiencing true inner peace is the identification with the ego, which in turn creates suffering. As long as you are still identified with the egoic mind, you will create suffering for yourself and others. Suffering is a real phenomenon that humans create for themselves due to the misusing of the human mind. The mind was supposed to be a wonderful tool for solving problems, but it looks like people are now being used by the mind to create pain and suffering. Practices such as meditation and mindfulness, often associated with spiritual awakening, encourage individuals to be fully present in the moment. This focus on the present can help break the cycle of rumination on past events or anxieties about the future, freeing the mind from unnecessary mental burdens. If you find yourself going through an ego death, it is because this process of ego death is trying to free you from the chains of suffering. Your ego death is not a way to punish you or make your life miserable. This is so that you cannot suffer anymore. It is a beginning of your true freedom and liberation beyond the mundane. This might not make sense to the mind right now, but it will as you progress on your spiritual journey. One day people will thank their ego death for causing a massive spiritual transformation. It is discarding the one you are not. Spiritual awakening can involve a process of emotional healing and acceptance. By confronting and processing suppressed emotions, individuals may liberate themselves from the burdens of past traumas and negative thought patterns, leading to a more liberated and peaceful state of mind. Another reason why you may be going through a spiritual awakening is so that you can recognize the oneness in all life. We as humans have been deluded to believe that we are separate from each other, living as separate entities. We perceive each other through the lenses of our conditioned personalities. The moment you encounter someone, you are going to perceive him or her in terms of how they look on the outside, how they behave or do, and judge that person based on that, not realizing that there is a deeper essence in that person that is inseparable from who you are. Having a spiritual awakening is showing you that you were never separate from the things around you, including objects, animals, and so on, and you have always been and will always be one. Separation is an illusion. The reason why people don't sense the oneness in all life is because they are still identified with duality. Duality is what causes us to view this world as separate from us. This world, as we know that it operates in a system of duality, opposites, including the ego as well, meaning that your mind is dualistic by nature and it only perceives things as separate from it. Nothing wrong with that, that's how nature created it. Dualism creates this illusion that there is us and them, the good guys and the bad guys, and so on. That's how the mind operates. There is another way of living that is beyond the dualistic operations of this universe, which you would call non-duality, and it transcends all the limitations of the ego. Your spiritual awakening can be a motivation to leave behind that old energy of separation consciousness to recognize the unity consciousness in all life forms, which is the energy of oneness. If humanity continues to live like they are separate from each other, there will be no peace and prosperity in this planet because humans will want to dominate, compete, and control one another to create pain and suffering to each other. Another reason why you may find yourself on a spiritual journey, it's because the awakening process is discarding the one you are not. Over the course of our lives, we have been conditioned to believe that we are our minds. Our mode of identification is through the mind. We breathe, eat, and sleep our thoughts. We never find a time where we are free from thinking. Thinking has taken precedence over our lives, and we can't even for a moment allow ourselves to simply just exist. In the tapestry of our lives, we often construct identities, beliefs, and narratives that we come to perceive as the essence of who we are. These constructs, while comforting and familiar, can sometimes act as veils obscuring the radiant truth that lies beneath. The spiritual awakening process, as I've come to understand it, is akin to an intricate dance of discarding the layers that are not truly us. It's a courageous unraveling of the illusions we've woven around ourselves, the roles we play, the masks we wear, and the stories we've come to believe. It involves letting go of the conditioned beliefs and societal expectations that may have defined us for so long. It's a shedding of the ego's protective layers, revealing vulnerabilities and strengths alike. In this act of surrender, we confront the illusion of separateness and embrace the interconnectedness that binds us to the tapestry of all existence. As we discard the one we are not, we make space for the emergence of the true self, that authentic core that transcends societal labels and superficial identities. It's a process of self-discovery where we tap into the wellspring of our inner wisdom, intuition, and authenticity. Yes, this journey can be daunting. It may require us to confront fears, question long-held beliefs, and navigate the uncertainty of the unknown. Yet, in the very act of discarding, we find liberation. We become architects of our own evolution, reclaiming the sovereignty of our spirit. Another reason why you may be going through a spiritual awakening is to give you a friendly reminder that you are a creator of your life. What do I mean by that? I mean that you as the consciousness, the conscious observer, not your mind, is the creative force of your life. Your life situation, it is what it is right now because you created it that way. Whether you have done that by free will or destiny, still, you created it. What does this mean? If consciousness is the source of all creations, then that means you are powerful than you think. You have the power to control your physical reality using the power of your mind, and it all comes down to remembering who truly are, beyond thoughts. The mind itself is not the actual creator. Consciousness is the fuel of your thoughts to manifest in your reality. If you keep focusing on the things you don't want, by resisting them energetically, you get more of that. That's just the law. In some spiritual and metaphysical philosophies, consciousness is considered a fundamental aspect of reality, existing independently of and preceding physical reality. From this perspective, consciousness is not just a product of brain activity but is seen as a fundamental aspect of existence that shapes and creates the physical world. We all have heard this saying that says, "What you focus on enough times, is what you're gonna get." The more you focus on something enough times, giving it your attention over and over again, it's going to show up in your reality. And may I ask you a question? Who is doing the focusing? Is it your mind or the conscious awareness? Well, the answer is obvious. Consciousness is the focusing, not your mind, because you are not your mind in the first place. You use the mind as a tool to create things and situations. You are that which observes the mind when it's in operation. One of the reasons of having a spiritual awakening is to show you that you have always been the creator and will always be the creator. Start asking yourself, why are you always seeing repeating numbers and synchronicities everywhere? Those numbers are just the reflection of the energy that you are putting out there to the universe to show you that you are creating all this stuff. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are creating your life, day in and day out, using your thoughts and your beliefs, and it all comes down to your Zen game, the energy of your consciousness. Another reason why you may find yourself on this spiritual journey is so that you can align with the isness of this present moment. People have been deluded to believe that future and past are all what matters, but in a true sense, there is only ever this moment, the precious present moment. A lot of people live their lives waiting for the future, and trying to change the past, believing that the future will bring them happiness. We have been conditioned to live through the next moment over and over again without acknowledging the present moment for what it is. The so-called future and past are all mental projections to see oneself free from the present moment. If you are not in the present moment, you are either in your mind or stuck in some psychological past or future, and you are creating unnecessary suffering for yourself. This is because suffering and psychological time are inseparable. When you are suffering, means that you are trapped in psychological time. The only time you are not suffering is when you are fully in the present moment. To dissolve psychological time, suffering, is to live fully in the present moment without trying to project mentally into some imagined future or past moment where you will be free and complete. True freedom is when you fully acknowledge the present moment for what it is, because the present moment is all there ever is. As Eckhart Tolle says, your life always unfolds in this moment, and there was not a time where your life is not now. When you remember the past, you are remembering it in the present moment, and when you think about the future, you are also doing it now, because everything is happening right now, not in the future or past. The journey toward living in the present moment is marked by a release of rigid attachments to specific outcomes and desires. The ego's habitual fixation on future possibilities diminishes, allowing individuals to fully engage with the unfolding present without the burden of excessive expectations. This newfound freedom from attachment opens the door to a more authentic experience of the current moment, fostering a sense of acceptance and contentment irrespective of external circumstances. The present moment becomes a gateway to personal transformation during a spiritual awakening. Rather than dwelling on past mistakes or future uncertainties, individuals learn to embrace the present as a dynamic space for self-discovery. The continual cycle of the present becomes an opportunity for growth, evolution, and the embodiment of higher states of consciousness. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and I look forward to creating more content for you in the future. Your continued support is deeply appreciated. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.